Good morning. Good morning. Pete Ward here on Pete Ward TV, brought to you by Business and Beyond NZ. How are you all going today? On my episode 11 of my podcast, and today I'm going to be talking about pipeline marketing. What is pipeline marketing? And then what can you do with it? A little hint. I'm going to end up at the bottom of the pipe or at the end of the pipeline, and we're going to be talking about remarketing or retargeting. So, what is remarketing or retargeting? It's where you've had an interaction with a customer or potential customer, and they are interested in what you're doing. They've had a look at your website maybe, or they've been interested before. They're on your mailing list, and you're going to serve them up some content that is... Where did that go? There. That is content that is suitable for their stage of the pipeline, which means they've interacted already with you. Hopefully they've done quite a lot. Maybe they've got all the way down to adding it to a cart, and then they have decided not to do anything with that purchase, and they think they've got away from you. Well, I've got another thing coming for them. I can talk to you now about what you can do about that. That's the remarketing or the retargeting of people who've interacted with your brand. Now, first thing I want to talk about is the difference between a sales funnel, very briefly, and a sales pipeline. So I'm going to pop over to my trusty bit of paper. Okay, so you may have heard, obviously, shaped like a funnel. I'm just going to move this, hope it doesn't make any noise. Okay, how's that? So shaped like a funnel, and what you want to do is you want to get people in the top. Okay. Now, those are your leads. Okay. And as the leads come down through the funnel, there's various stages of the funnel. I'm not going to go into the funnel. I have done this before on another episode. What happens is this is a visual representation of how many leads are in your funnel. So technically, hopefully, in the top, there's lots and 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 lots. Okay, sounds good? Really good. And then as they get down here, they move through the stages, and some of them kind of fall out or off or come back out the top or go somewhere. They disappear. It's more like a sieve than a funnel, isn't it, where they get away. And as they come down here, you have a visual representation of less people in the funnel. So what you're ending up with is a great visual representation of how many people. So you might have a few there, and by the time you get down here, and you get a purchase at the bottom. So that is a visual representation of the number of leads, but what it doesn't give you is a representation of the quality of leads. Because the reason you might be losing these leads up here and losing people in the funnel is they really weren't that interested in what you have to offer anyway. They just saw something, they clicked on your website, they went, oh, that looks nice. They clicked on, engaged in your social media, they did something, and then they were like, yeah, okay, I've done that now, and they move on because they were never really interested. They weren't quality, they weren't warm, they weren't hot, they weren't anything. So what we've got in a pipeline, okay, a pipeline is a various stage. It's linear, and it's a stage of moving the customer journey from one place to another. So I'm going to just start drawing my line, okay, and then I'm going to start filling in these stages. Okay, and I have identified six stages. I like my 6 stages. Okay, so what have we got here? In the stage number 1 of the pipeline, you've got first contact. Okay, so that's when someone comes in contact with your brand for the very first time. Never heard of you before. Very similar to up here in the funnel where you are talking about awareness. Okay, that's fine. Here we've got the first contact, and then number 2, the second stage in my pipeline that I like to explain to people is interaction. Okay, and as I was saying, interacting with the brand is not necessarily engaging with the brand. Interacting is maybe viewing a video, clicking on a post, clicking a like on some comment that they saw on social media that they think, oh yeah, I agree with that. That's really good. Hey, that's exciting. I mean, that's interaction. That's cool. what we need to do there is focus on stage 3, which is engagement. Okay, and what's happening there is they're actually getting more involved. They're coming to your website, they're checking out your brand, all your products, all your services, and they're saying, yep, I'm actually interested in engaging with this brand due to one of those things I've just mentioned, products, services, something that they need, something that you've got, something you're selling. So that's the engagement stage of this pipeline. So as they're moving through, you can see they're stepping. Once they've got to engagement, they don't go back to first contact, right? So that's why it's a pipeline coming through. That's why it's linear. It's not a funnel where they can come in and out. They could go all the way down to intent to purchase, and then all the way back up and stay in here, fully aware of your brand, but not actually engaging or doing anything with your brand. So it's here. Once you get them to engagement, they're actually quite interested in being part of your brand family, going off your equity and investing into your story. And so they're hanging around in the engagement. So after the engagement, I like to say the next stage is intent. Okay, so what that means is they're actually going to do something about their engagement. They're going to go more than their engagement. They intend to do something with you. They've kind of worked out. It's very similar to the funnel up here where you've got consideration and et cetera, et cetera. You've got a lot of things, and you've also got intent up there. So they're going to do something. So it matches there, but this way it's a linear process. It's clearly defined. And as they're coming across there, the next thing I like to call is the decision. Okay, here's stage 5 of my pipeline, decision. They make some kind of decision. And then from there, they move to clearly purchase. But do they? Do they? Interesting. This is actually the time for this to actually go into different places. So up here we have yes. And down here we have no. They got all the way to there. They were just about to click buy now. Now, excellent stat. 70%, that's 70% of add to carts result in abandoned carts. They've done all the research. That means there's only 30% of people clicking buy now in the cart. So you might think, whoa, they're clicking add to cart. 70% of people then change their mind at that stage. And I know there's a lot of that goes on in this household. I'm just saying, not looking at anybody. So in a way, it's probably quite good that it is. 70% of it gets away. So what are you going to do? So over here, you've got yes. Let's just circle that so we know it's a stage. And we'll circle that no for a stage in the pipeline. So what happens here at the yes is another decision or question, a place where it can go two ways. Can you get them to repeat that purchase? And again, you have a yes and a no. Okay, that's a question. Okay, and the answer to that question, if it's at a yes, then you end up at loyalty. Okay, and that's really what you want. And after that is advocacy and all those extra things that you can put in there. I'm just running out of space to head over there. I'm going to say the loyalty handles the advocacy and everything like that. So they become loyal customers. They talk to people. They advocate for your brand. They say, someone says, oh, where did you get those boots? And they say, oh, I got them at blah, blah, blah. And someone goes, oh, that's amazing. I want those boots too. And they head over there and they find them and do the same thing, and they repeat the whole journey themselves through the pipeline. So they're coming down through the funnel as a representation of the leads, but they're working through the pipeline this way, linear, and they get here. Okay, so no. Let's answer no. Then why? And now there could be a lot of reasons. One of the obvious reasons straight away is that you don't have a repeatable product. They bought a pair of shoes and they don't need another pair of shoes for winter. Maybe they need a pair of shoes for summer though. So there's an interesting thing. Store that away and think, okay, right, can I get my purchasers to repeat? Obviously, if it is a subscription something, then that's great. You can get people to repeat on a subscription. That's fantastic. Like I said, seasonal things, you could do that. Somebody who buys a toilet, for example, is probably not going to need another toilet for quite a while. But then what if they move house and in 3 years' time, they decide they're going to renovate the new house, and then they go, oh yeah, that's right, I bought my toilet from blah, blah, blah. Then they could come back. So if it is a repeat, there's a reason why you have to look into it. If they bought it and then got stink service from you, then they're not going to repeat, are they? So then you've got to actually identify that. So this is actually a very big question, and you should be asking that all of the time, going, okay, of those purchases I bought, someone bought dog treats. Did they buy them again the next month? No. I wonder why. Let's have a think about that. Is it that they bought 3 months worth? Is it that the dog didn't like them? Were they too expensive? You can see there's a whole lot of things, and I've got a matrix you can go through to help work all those sort of things out. But what have we got down here at the purchase stage? They got all the way to decision. Purchase equals no. Then what is this? This is opportunity. That's what that is. Opportunity. Because they're all the way to the end of your pipeline. Purchases at the end, they can't go any further in the pipeline unless they go up to loyalty, which is that way. This way, where are they going to go? Well, lucky for you, they don't go away, because what happens in social media nowadays, and in other media as well, is that we can track them. We can track that non-purchase, that add to cart but no purchase. We can track all of those things through a little pixel in the data in your website, through JavaScript, which is a little bit of coding language that you can put into basically any web page or anything, any sort of social media has got it, and it tracks exactly what you're doing, whether you made those conversions or not. And so you have the ability to tap into that data through your ad managers or whatever platform you're using. LinkedIn has one, obviously Facebook, Meta, which includes Instagram. You've got YouTube, and Google world is massive, because Google has display ad network. I believe they purchased it from DoubleClick for publishers back in the day. Not sure whether they kept the DoubleClick name in there, but Google for publishers. It's a massive platform, and what it is, it's a big network of ad exchanges. There's several of them in the world, and they swap ads to websites. A website will pitch to say, I will pay X dollars for an ad on dog chews because I have a website about dogs, and then that ad will turn up on that website, which means your ad could be the one turning up on that website, which is why it is an opportunity. And the opportunity is remarketing or retargeting. Okay, so what is it? In a nutshell, it is exactly what I was just saying there. It is the ability to serve up your ads to the people who have interacted with your website, your videos, and off your mailing list. So there's three main ways to build a retargeting list. So you're pixel based. So like I was saying, it comes from a pixel. Like LinkedIn has a pixel, YouTube and Google, and they have a Google Tag Manager which puts the same pixel or the same code in there. Facebook has a pixel, tracks everything that people do, and then you can build a list of those things. You can even target right down to visited a page or didn't visit a page. So if you've got a landing page, you can say only target the people who went to this landing page. Or you can actually target interests. You can say anyone else They went to a website for dogs, then target anyone who is interested in dogs or has a dogs or indicated on Facebook they have a dog or like dogs, and you can serve your stuff up to them. So you can retarget to anyone through an interest base as well. So you've got the pixel, and then you've got a list base, which is basically you have a database that you already have, that you have first party collected the data from for instance, email signups, or you have a customer list, a previous customer list, basically people who have purchased from you before. Now, that's a really good one, because if someone's purchased from you before, then they are a very hot lead for a repeat purchase. But what you can do is these things called lookalike audiences or similar audiences. And basically, you can take your database and you can build a lookalike audience of people that look like that database of list of the leads. And you can do that with the pixel as well, by the way. And you can then retarget your ads to those people on any platform, on any website. If you get really involved in it, like I said, you can go through the Google search, Google display ad network, and you could serve. So potentially, if you wanted to pay enough money, you could have your ad turning up in an article next to an article in the New Zealand Herald, for example. So there's always, you're bidding against other people to do the same thing. So you've got to be willing to pay whatever that money is. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is right at the moment because it changes all the time depending on demand, depending on how many people are actually wanting to spend that money to get into those places. And there's all sorts of ways of working that out in the back end of your ad manager. And the third way is video views. So video views, for example, if you're watching this, I can tally up all of the views, and I might pick a percentage of the views and say, for everyone who watched 50% of my video, serve them up an ad from me saying, hey, do you want to work with me? Or it might be, in this particular example, because this is probably a 30-minute long, so yeah, 50%, that's only going to be a few people, but that's all right because they're the only few people that I want. So if you think about the funnel again, you think, I've already got them looking at here, they're already engaging in there, so basically serve them up an ad, a retargeted ad for my services or my products based on the fact that they actually watched 50% of the ad. Of the video. And now if you have a YouTube short, for example, you can do the same thing on YouTube. So up to 3 minutes is shorts. They're going off at the moment. If you're not doing YouTube shorts, do them. Vertical portrait style videos, get them in there, less than 3 minutes, and just do it. They're going nuts. So for example, if someone watched 10% of a 3 minute is probably more than watching 50% of a 20-minute, but not really. So you've got to look at it and go, okay, you probably want 95% of the 3-minute for you to spend your money, because otherwise you're just targeting too many people that have just watched. Hey, they watched 10 seconds and then they moved on. So you get what we call a hockey stick effect of video views. So here's time, and here's views, and they all start there and they go, so it's like hockey stick of ad views or video views. So what you want to do is you want to pick somewhere that makes sense to you, somewhere here, like there's less people who watch longer, but they have a lot more intent. So they're much more involved. They might be, if you've got videos on how to do something, if you're talking about how to insert here, it might be how to use a particular software or how to build a deck. That's obviously a big one, but they might attend to that beautifully. So people who watch all of the Mitre 10 video, then when they get to the end of it, they would be able to retarget them with the latest specials, which does lead me back around to where I started, which was the pipeline marketing. The idea is that you use a different marketing message or details or images or video or type within these different stages of the pipeline. Okay, so obviously first contact, and they don't even know much about you, so you're going to use a more generalized type of marketing focus into there. Okay, but now they know about you, there's no point in bashing them about, did you know something? They're already, now you want to get them to interact somehow. A good example would be if you were a dog treat company, you might post a series of dogs doing stupid things as little videos and then get people to like them. And then within that, at the end of it, you have a call to action of the product you're trying to sell. And so basically you might have 3 or 4 little videos across, and as you scroll through them, you get to the end, and that's where the product is that you're trying to sell. So you're not trying to push it down people's throats. You kind of say, hey, look at this funny dog. You might go viral with it, hopefully. So you get 1 million views on this funny dog running around doing stupid things, and then basically you will take them through your pipeline into engagement. So you got to think of taking them to the next step. So you got engagement. What are you going to give people there? So what type of content, what type of messaging, what type of actual ad do you want to give them there? Same thing with intent. What are you going to do there? So you got to really think in these stages, and I help people do that. So I help you sit down and come up with a strategy that you work out what type of content we do need there, what type of messaging, because as you get further down towards intent and decision, you get more Sally, basically more call to action. You can give a call to action. You can, in fact, right here in number 6, right there, when they're making that decision and they're just about to purchase, if they're sitting there wavering between no and yes, give them another 15% off with your remarketing if they buy within the next 20 minutes. So now they've got an incentive. So you could absolutely give them a call to action there. You wouldn't do that all the way at number 1, because they don't even know who you are. They don't even know whether they like your products. They don't really care. All they care about is their own life. So they're living with them. What's in it for me? So what you do is you give them some with them every single step as you're taking them till they get here, and then you might give them 15% off, or book now and get a free voucher to use next time, whatever it is. So you've got to think about the messaging in every single stage as you're going through. Now, some of the ads you can use are image ads, okay? Obviously, personalized ads that actually change depending on who is actually looking at them. That's getting a bit tricky, isn't it? Rich media HTML5 ads, which are animated ads, you might see down the side of a website. It's called a skyscraper or a leaderboard across the top, right at the top, and they do things, and they whoosh, and they do something, and then they whoosh, and then the brand comes in. So those are animated ads or HTML5 ads that you can use. Those type of ones, and you use them quite a lot on the Google network. As I was mentioning, the display network for Google. You got video ads. Video ads, obviously, that's really obvious, but it takes a bit of effort to make a video ad. So the good thing, swapping between image ads and video ads is a good thing, because you can just swap the format around, use the same ad, and just change the media. You also want to be talking about, like I said, the messaging and your headlines and descriptions of them all. Try different things. You really can't go wrong. You just got to try them and see what fits. And then, of course, carousel ads. Now, carousel ads are really exciting, because if you've got a Shopify shop or a WooCommerce shop or anything that's connected up, you connect your catalog of all of your products you're selling, and then you go in and make an ad, and you basically just say, use my catalog to serve up the content of the ads, and you make it so that you can scroll, or it scrolls around so you get a different one. Sorry about that. Just hit the microphone. My apologies. So you can use the carousel, and basically it just uses your products. So you just tell it, maybe for example, great example is the pet food or pet chews company also do bowls and drink bottles for outdoors, and straps and leads and all sorts of things like that. Okay, so they could serve up a carousel of those outdoor outdoor products. And I've discovered that Shopify is very clever at this that you can actually send people to that page and take the 15% off the cart automatically, just literally by putting it into your ad link, and it just sends them there with the coupon applied. So whatever they look at already goes into the cart with the 15, well, in their case it was 15% off. So basically they're already buying, so ready to buy, so they don't even have to click and then add a coupon in and go, I want my 15%. So you don't even have to worry about giving them the coupon because it's already applied from the link. So that's really clever. So that's one of the things you can do. So that would be definitely at the end, right at the end of the intent and purchase there, to give them, just send an ad to them going, hey, I saw you came to my website, you added it to your cart, you didn't purchase. Here, if you click right now, you'll get an additional 15% off. Just click the link and it'll be applied in the cart. We'll see you there. So that's the type of messaging you can use right at the end. And those are the types. Remember, image, personalized, rich media, video ads, and carousel ads from your product category. Now, I've already mentioned that 70% of all shopping carts are abandoned. So this, you need to be thinking about this. You need to be doing retargeting of people who get all the way to here. But it's not just for abandoned carts. So it can be used for all of the other points along the way apart from the first contact, because they don't have a contact with you. So you don't need your retargeting there. You need it. The further you get along, the more you need it. Okay, let's move on to some things you can think about. You've got CTR, you want to measure these, okay? So you want to keep an eye on these. I'm going to just put them over here. CTR. Okay, you want to measure these. I'm going to give you a graph somewhere on my website, help you, or a little form to help you work these out. That is your click-through rate. So you're going to look at your retargeting ads and you're going to look at the click-through rate and go, okay, is that suitable? Is that working? I've got an ad and it's been seen 15,000 times and only 3 people clicked it. That's very, very, very bad. You should do something about that. Something's not right. You've got to ask yourself, okay, what am I doing? What should I change different? Is it the headline? Is it the graphic? Is it the image? Is it, is it the offer? There's lots of things. Okay, so hopefully you get a better click-through rate than that. Hopefully you're getting a very good click-through rate with your retargeting because you're talking to people who are very, very warm or very, very hot. Okay, next one is CPC. The thing you should be thinking about, it is cost per click. So you've got to be measuring cost per click, because if you're getting, say you're spending $100 and you're getting a cost per click of $1 and you're getting 100 clicks, then you've spent your money. So that leads on to the next one is your conversion rate. Okay, you must be measuring your conversion rate. So basically from all of those 100 people that clicked and you spent $100 because it was $1 per click. So you've got 100, let's say you just got 100% click-through rate, but how many converted to a sale? So that's the thing you've got to be measuring. You must have that measured to see, hold on a moment, I've got 100 people coming from this retargeting ad and I only had 5 people purchase. So that's really bad. So you've got to up that and think about that. You must measure it though to be able to do it. And you've got to start questioning. Question everything. Go, okay, what's going on? So don't just set your thing. Don't just boost a post. Do an actual proper ad and then come in and look at the stats and go, okay, we're going to measure this. Okay, and the next thing, of course, is the cost per conversion, and you work that out using simple maths. You can check that and go, okay, how much is it costing me to get that conversion? And you start using things like attribution and stuff like that, which is you start to go, okay, here's a very quick one. It's a W. Here's your first content. Here's where it turned into a lead, and here's a purchase. How much did it cost for all of those stages of my marketing? And you can use more points. You can go right through every single point, but that's a very quick way to use the W to go, how much did I spend to get them interested in me? How much did I spend to get them to turn into a lead, which is in the top of the funnel or first interaction there? And then how much did it cost to get a purchase? So if you're spending, like I just said, $100 and it's all over here, you're spending $100 and you only got 5 people, and then how much did you make? And should you be spending that $100 on those people? So have you got the wrong people for a start? So it's just things you've got to ask yourself and work through properly. And then, of course, the other big one is return on ad spend. Okay, this is a simple way of working this out. You basically, and I'm going to give you an example, is attributed revenue divided by spend. So I might just use it up here. I'll just block that out. So attributed revenue, okay, divided by spend. Okay, here's a great example to work that out. Okay, I worked with a company. We set up an ad based off a list, so it was a database. We loaded the database in. We found a lookalike audience. We put $30. This is a trial. This is the first time we've done this with this company. The company's putting their toe in the water going, okay, let's try that. We've got this list. We had 1,700 people on the database list. We loaded it in. They were previous customers and other people who have interacted with the company. So that's really good. So we know that they're warm to hot to previous customers. So we did a lookalike audience of those people. We did it on Facebook. And we had somebody ring up and say, I just saw your ad. I want to use your services, and the revenue from that was $2,000. Now that sounds fantastic for a start. It is, right? So the return on ad spend using that is actually 1 to 66, because you divide the 2,000 by 30 and you end up at 66. So you spent $1 and got 66 back, basically, as a return on ad spend. So it wasn't actually 6, but yeah, you can see that's the percentage ratio of it back. So that's how you look at return on ad spend. You must be doing all that. You must be checking all of those things. So going to sum it up very, very quickly. We're going to go from the top. We're talking about pipeline marketing. In pipeline marketing, pipeline is linear and it has steps along the way. So I have 6 steps: first contact, interaction, engagement, intent, decision, and purchase. And when you get to purchase, is it yes or no? And if it's no, it's an opportunity to remarket, to not let them get away. And if it's yes, can you repeat it? If no, why? There might be various reasons. But if yes, then you end up with loyalty and advocacy from your customers. So first contact, interaction, engagement, intent, decision, and purchase are my 6 points along the way, with those extra decision questions on the end. So that is a representation of the pipeline of taking people across linear for each single person. And of course, your sales funnel is a visual representation of how many leads you've got going on at a time as they move down towards there. So you might have 100 people in the top of the funnel, all going through their own unique, distinct pipeline. So what you need to do is segment your audience. So for those 100 people, 20 of them might be at a different place. So they might be one of these, spots. So you target each part of your marketing efforts to each of these points on the pipeline to reach those people that are sitting in your funnel. So I hope that all makes sense to you, and hope you've got something out of that. So remember to measure everything so you know where you're up to. But that's me for the day. We're talking about the retargeting, remarketing of people right at the end of your pipeline. And of course, if you need help with any of this stuff and you want to get in touch, you can reach me at pete@peteward.tv. And my website is peteward.tv, so that's pretty easy to find as well. So very easy. Connect on LinkedIn with me. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, yep, just connect up. If you're seeing this on YouTube, yeah, just get in touch. I'll tell you what I can do for you and how I can help and answer any of your questions that you might have. So thanks very much for watching episode 11, and I will see you next time. Pete's out.